If you ever looked at a pattern and thought, this doesn't quite fit me, but I'm not sure how to fix it, you're not alone. For a long time, I followed instructions exactly as they were written, even when the result didn't really suit my body or my life. But little by little, I realized that the beauty of knitting isn't just in finishing a garment, it's shaping it to feel like yours. That might mean questioning a raglan formula, adding just a couple of extra increases where you need them, or swapping out a ribbing for a cleaner edge. Or it might be as simple as saying, this neckline should sit differently on me. This episode is really about those small intentional changes, the quiet decisions that make a project from just another sweater to a piece that you reach for again and again. Because here patterns are suggestions, not rules, and sometimes bending them is the only way to get the knit that feels like home. So let's talk about the tweaks, the fit, and the little choices that matters the most. My name is Marii and welcome to my knitting podcast. I'm a knitter and maker based in beautiful Bergen. Here I sew, knit and create garments that brings me joy and fit seamlessly into my life. I love giving patterns that little twist, changing the construction, adjusting the shape, swapping yarns, or adding personal details that make the final piece feel like me. My hope is that through this podcast I can share my processes with you and maybe give you the permission to break a few rules yourself. So whether you're a seasoned knitter or just picking up your first pair of needles, I want this space to feel like a cozy sit-down with a crafty friend. And today we'll cover one finished object, 3 works in progress, and my most worn knits for August. So let's dive in. Today I'm wearing my Ingrid Sweater, and honestly this is one of those knits that feels like home. It's by PetitKnit and I knit mine in Vidde from Hillesvåg, in the softer, most grounding blush shade that's called Pudder. This sweater is everything I love in a go-to knit. It's neutral, texture and slightly boxy, and somehow it works with everything. I reach for it again and again because it slips so effortlessly into my daily wardrobe. So whether I'm layering it over a dress, pairing it with jeans, or just wearing it around the house, it never feels out of place. The structure for the Ingrid Sweater is simple but smart. It's worked top down and completely seamless, which makes for such a satisfying knit. The back is shaped first with short rows for a gentle slope on the shoulders. Then each front is picked up and shaped before everything is joined on the round under the arms. From there it's all smooth sailing. The sleeves are picked up and knit in the round, and the result is this beautiful classic shape with just the right amount of drape. But what really makes the Ingrid Sweater special is the texture. There are 3 distinct stitch patterns, each separated by these delicate lace parts. The texture gives it a lot of visual interest, but it's never too much. It's detailed, but it still feels calm and quiet in depth. Vidde is such a joy to wear. It's a blend of lamb's wool and pelt's wool, and it has this cozy, woolly feeling without being too itchy. It's soft, but it's not too polished, and it gives every stitch that little life. The Pudder colorway is especially lovely. It's this muted, earthy blush that feels warm and elegant without being too pink. It pairs so nicely with the rest of my wardrobe, which is full of colors. I found that it's the perfect sweater for those in-between seasons. Spring into summer, summer into autumn. The kind of piece that quietly becomes a favorite without even trying. It's comforting, simple, and it just fits. So I have finally finished my Venilia Tee, and oh, this one has been such a joy. You know how some projects just quietly become your favorite while you're working on them? This one has felt like that. Every time I picked it up, it brought a sense of ease, and now that it's done, it's even better than I imagined. The pattern is by Sari Nordlund, and it honestly feels like summer in every way. It's light, it's airy, it's effortless. It's knit top down with a lace yoke, which is delicate and structured at the same time. The lace is what hooked me right away. It's soft and timeless and not fussy at all. And it elevates the tee without being overcomplicating. I really love a pattern that looks simple but feels intentional. The yarn I've used is Mondim. It's a non-superwash fingering weight yarn made from Portuguese wool. And it's dyed by La Bien-Aimée. It's rustic, yes, but it's soft enough to wear next to skin. And it gives such a truly crisp stitch definition, which makes the lace really pop. And this colorway is a favorite of mine. It's playful without being loud. I've used it for my sweater, and again in a brioche fade. It just brings the whole piece together, and every time I just really love it. The shape of the Venilia Tee is relaxed and flattering. I ended up making a few modifications, of course. I skipped the traditional ribbing and finished it with a double knit edge for the hem and the sleeves. I just love the clean line that gives. It frames the lace beautifully without competing with it. Fit-wise, I sized down. The neckline was a bit too open for me at first. And with my narrower shoulders, circular yokes can be tricky. I added extra short rows after the lace sections to balance the fit, and I think that really helped. Still, the neckline is wider than I usually go for, and while I did worry about it feeling too open, I actually love how it sits. It's breezy but elegant. That said, if you're someone who likes a higher neck or more structured at the back, that's something to think about. Especially since the short rows happens after the lace yoke. They don't lift the neckline quite as much as I like. But again, if they were placed earlier, we'd lose that seamless start to the lace. And that's a part of what makes this tee so beautiful. So it's all about the trade-off, isn't it? The final result feels very wearable, and not just in summer, but honestly year-round. It layers beautifully under cardigans or over dresses and slips into my autumn wardrobe just as easily as it does into spring. And I think that's some of the magic of this tee. It doesn't scream for attention, but it holds its own in any outfit. Just the right blend of quiet and confident. It also reminds me of something I keep coming back to in my knitting practice. It's okay to blend things. Patterns are suggestions, they're not rules. And sometimes those little changes, the neckline, the edging, the shifting in sizes, that's what makes a piece feel truly yours. So if you've been eyeing the Venilia Tee or are just looking for a soft summer top to add to your wardrobe, I can't recommend it enough. It's a gentle knit with beautiful results. And the best of all, I really feel like myself wearing it, which in the end is what I always hope for in my knitting. Lately, I've also been working on the Slanting Slipover by Anne Wenzel. It's been such an interesting knit so far. The design itself is a vest with these graphic lines that runs over the shoulders and continues down the sides, finishing with little slide slits at the hem. It's simple at first glance, but the details really gives it character. But before I share how mine is going, I do want to pause for a moment to talk about sizing. This pattern only goes up to a 112 centimeter bust, which is about 44 inches. While I have the skills to make modifications that I need to, not everyone does. And more importantly, I don't think they should have to. Size-inclusive designs should be the standard because everyone deserves to knit patterns that fit their body comfortably and beautifully, without needing to rewrite half of the instructions. I've been thinking a lot about that while I'm knitting this vest. Going forward, I do want to be more intentional about supporting designers who offer broader sizing as a norm. I'll share this project and what modifications I'm making in case they will help others, but I do want my knitting choices to reflect the kind of community I hope we can build together, one where all bodies are seen, included and celebrated. I have gone more in depth on my thoughts on this in my summer episode, so check that out if you are interested. And I'm also sharing my modifications in this vest as I go. When I finish it, I'm also considering making a tutorial on how to approach adopting a size for a larger body, so let me know if that is something you're interested in. With that said, let me tell you about my version of the Slanting Slipover. I've made a few tweaks already because I can never quite resist shaping things to my own taste. For the collar, I've decided to knit it double. I love how it gives this clean, polished look. It's weightier and more intentional. It frames the neckline beautifully, and I think it elevates the whole garment just a little bit. I have also chosen to leave the sides open, and I'm going to fasten them with a simple button under each arm. To do this, I have increased a few stitches along the edges so there will be enough fabric to create a neat overlap. It's a small detail, but it adds movement and a bit of personality. Plus, it makes the vest feel more versatile, at least for me. I like that it can be worn loosely or buttoned, depending on what day I'm having. So far, I finished the front piece and I'm about to start the back. I'm especially curious to see how these short rows are going to continue. On the front, they are sloped slightly upwards, and I'm interested to see how the back is going to balance that in a way that lifts the neckline. These little construction surprises are one of my favorite parts about knitting. You never quite know how the shaping will come together until you see it unfold on your needles. The yarn I'm using is Isabella Aran Tweed, which is this beautifully rustic, chunky single-ply yarn with natural rugged texture that brings character to every stitch. This yarn is made from 100% wool, sourced from Europe and New Zealand. Each 100 gram skein contains approximately 160 meters of yarn. As a single-ply yarn, it offers a beautiful, organic structure and feel. I've been so inspired lately by others knitting with the beautiful Madara yarn from Noro. For example, Nor Knits has been working on a stunning long cardigan, and I've also seen Annie Knits make this gorgeous grey vest in a similar yarn from Junction Fiber Mill, full of colorful tweeds and flecks. Ever since I've wanted to make something along those lines myself. When I've discovered that Isabella has a similar yarn, a lovely grey with confetti-style tweeds, I knew this was my chance. And the fabric itself has been such a joy. The slipover uses a mix of garter and rib, which is repetitive enough to feel meditative, but still just enough variation to keep it interesting. I've been enjoying the rhythm of it, simple stitches that come together into something that are more than just the sum of their parts. So that's where I'm at with the Slanting Slipover. It's one of those projects that's teaching me more than just knitting techniques. It's reminding me why modifications matter, why details matter, and why it matters to include everyone. Another product that's on my needles right now is the Venilia Tee. And I have to say, this one really ticks all of the boxes for me. It's light, it's elegant, and that perfect mix of simplicity and details that I always gravitate towards. The standout feature is the cable motif that runs down both the front and the back. It gives just enough texture and visual interest without feeling too busy, and the way it flows is just beautiful. On the sides and sleeves, there's 2x2 ribbing, which balances the cables perfectly. It keeps the shape neat, a little structured, but still easygoing. The result is a tee that looks intricate, but feels completely relaxed to wear. Or at least I hope. Really something I can see myself dressing up for an evening out, or just pairing with jeans on a regular day. For yarn, I'm using a silk and blue-faced Leicester blend from the Wool Kitchen. I actually bought it way back at Edinburgh Yarn Fest in 2019, and it's been patiently waiting in my stash ever since. And I really thought it's the time to give it the spotlight it truly deserves. The color is a dreamy soft blue with little coppery speckles that shimmers in the light. It's subtle, but with that touch of magic that makes a piece feel polished and special. Progress-wise, it's been a slow but steady knit for me. Cable knitting isn't something you can do on autopilot. Every chart demands attention, but that's also the part what makes it so satisfying. I've been following the pattern exactly as written this time because cables can easily lose their rhythm if you start improvising too much. What I've noticed is how much it helps to just knit a little every day, instead of a big burst of progress followed by long pauses. I'm trying to keep a rhythm with this one. That way I don't have to relearn the chart every time I pick it up. It reminds me of when I made my wedding gown. That project really taught me the beauty of moving slowly but consistently, of hurrying slowly, if that makes sense. Now I'm moving down the body and it finally feels like this tee is taking shape. It won't be a quick finish and I'm okay with that. This is the kind of project where every row feels worthwhile because you can actually see the beauty of the pattern emerging stitch by stitch. Another project that I'm working on right now is something that's really close to my heart, the Isabella sweater. This feels different because it's not just another knit. It's a result of years refining how I like my sweaters to fit. All of those quiet experiments that lives in a spreadsheet built over time. A lot of the garments I draft myself starts there, with numbers, formulas, and tiny shaping tweaks that piece by piece adds up to a sweater that really works on my body. For this design, I've leaned into one of my favorite and most trusted construction methods, the classic raglan. Raglans are wonderfully flexible, and that's exactly what makes them so appealing. You get a structure that's simple and familiar, but with endless room for personalization. And I love that balance. A tried and true foundation with space to play with the details that matters the most. But one of the design principles I keep coming back to in raglan shaping is that I don't follow the increase every other row formula. It might be a standard, but bodies aren't standard. What works for one frame won't always work for another. So instead, I adjusted the shaping to match what I know I need. For me, that means adding extra increases for the body right from the start. It keeps the shoulders and sleeves neat and tidy while giving me just enough room across the bust. It's a small change, but it makes all of the difference, transforming the fit from fine to just right. Another intentional choice is the neckline. Instead of using short rows, I work the neckline flat. I've learned over time that this method gives me more of an open neckline in the front, paired with a gentle lift at the back. The result is flattering and comfortable, the kind of neckline that feels good from the moment you put it on. I also been playing with this color detail, and I think really this shape pairs perfectly with what I'm planning on next, which are some beautiful bell sleeves. The yarn has been such a joy too. I'm knitting in Helix by La Bien-Aimée in the colorway Lisa. This rich deep pink with burgundy undertones and soft gray accents. Bold but not overwhelming, combined with a blend of Falkland merino and Gotland wool, gives us this subtle sheen and depth that makes the fabric feel really alive. It's light, it's lofty, and gets the right amount of drape, while still giving enough structure to make the raglan shaping stand out clearly. As for progress, I've knit the body all the way down to the ribbing, and I'm starting my first sleeve. I'm gonna knit a bit more before adding the texture detail, and that's the part I'm really excited about. Up until now, this sweater has been clean and simple, but this section, as well as the collar that I've finished, gives it some identity. It's the element that will lift it from just another raglan to something distinct and personal. I'm finished with the collar, and I'm happy with how it turned out. The neckline sits open at the front with a subtle lift at the back, exactly the balance I wanted. When I tried it on after dividing for the sleeves, I had a moment of doubt. It felt a little snug, but I reminded myself that this always happened at that stage. Instead of ripping back, I trusted the process, I trusted my formulas and my Excel sheet, and I'm glad I did. Now the fit is exactly what I hoped for. The raglan lines are crisp and the body feels comfortable, and the neckline frames everything just right. My next step is to finish both sleeves and bring the texture pattern together. After that, I'll shift the gears and start working on writing up the pattern. It feels like a natural progression for me, not just knitting something for myself, but creating a piece that others can enjoy too. This sweater has been a long time in the making, and I can't wait to share it. If you would like to test knit it, please send me a message over on Instagram. The knit I've been reaching for the most lately is my Love Note sweater by Tin Can Knits. I think many of you will know this pattern. It's one of those designs that became almost iconic in the knitting community when it was released, and honestly, it really deserves the hype. Love Note combines the effortless elegance with a touch of playfulness. It's knit top down using fingering weight yarn held together with lace mohair, which creates a floaty, light as air fabric that I really love. The yoke has a beautiful lace pattern that gives it just enough romance without being fussy, and the body is simple, allowing the yarn and the silhouette to do most of the talking. With options for 2 different lengths, it's a design that feels flexible and wearable no matter what your style leans towards. And something I really appreciate in Love Note is how size inclusive it is, ranging all the way from baby sizes all the way up to 6XL adults. To me, that's the way forward in knitting, patterns that can truly be for everyone. It feels good to celebrate a design that doesn't just look beautiful, but is written with inclusivity at its core. For my version, I was completely inspired by a sample I saw on Instagram when the pattern was first launched. Venilia had posted a version of this exact yarn pairing. I knew immediately that I wanted one of my own. The base yarn is a rust in Mondim base, a deep earthy copper with golden undertones. On its own, it's warm and grounded, but when paired with undergrowth and mohair silk in a really dark purple plum color with soft mossy greens, it really transforms. The 2 yarns together creates this layered fabric that almost tells a story as you look at it. The rust glows underneath, steady and warm, while the mohair veils add a shadow and depth, like twilight falling across a forest. It's a pairing that at first glance you might not expect. Rusty orange with dark violet tones, but it works so beautifully. And honestly, it's one of the things that I love most about this sweater. Whenever I wear it, I get compliments, often from people who say, I would never have thought of those colors together. And truly, I didn't myself, but I'm so happy I copied La Bien-Aimé's sample. And maybe this is an encouragement I want to pass along with this knit. Try a color combination that surprises you. Sometimes the best pairings are the ones that feels a little unlikely at first. That might be just where the magic happens. As for how I wear this one, I've gotten so much wear out of this sweater. The cropped length makes it perfect with skirts and trousers, giving outfits a slightly more polished, modern edge without feeling stiff. It can be both feminine and romantic, but also works with more minimal, elegant pairings, depending on what you put it with. That kind of versatility is exactly what I look for in a knit, something that doesn't just sit in my wardrobe, but actually get worn over and over again. For a little while, my Love Note has been tucked away in the closet because I haven't been reaching for it that much, but this August I've pulled it back out, and it felt like meeting an old friend again. It's been one of my most worn pieces this month, and I've fallen back in love with it. Not just for the fabric or the fit, but for the memories of what inspired me to cast it on in the first place. So if you've ever been thinking about knitting a sweater that's quick, beautiful, and genuinely wearable, I can wholeheartedly recommend the Love Note. It's romantic, it's practical, and if you let yourself play with color, it might just become one of your most worn knits too. I really hope this episode has given you something you can carry along with your own knitting. Whether it's permission to change a pattern, curiosity about construction, or simply the reminding that your stitches should always feel like yours. For me, the joy of knitting isn't just about finishing a sweater, it's about shaping pieces that fits my life and my body, and trusting that even the smallest tweaks can make a big difference. So, if you take anything away from today, I hope it's this. You are allowed to adopt, adjust, and bend the rules until your knitting feels like home. If you enjoyed spending this time with me, I'd love for you to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. And come join me over on Instagram. That's where I share little check-ins, project updates, and all of those in-between moments of making progress. I'd also love to hear what's currently on your needles and what tweaks you find yourself making most often. Until next time, thank you for being here with me, and as always, keep knitting what brings you joy.